I'm not blaming any of this on Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, because basketball is a sport that, they threw these guys together at the deadline. And we're going to talk about this. They just lost to the Hawks 130-132 in a wild overtime game. And I think it's interesting when you look at this. Okay, so it was a hard game because I think this it really compartmentalized what has happened. Because for Dallas, playoff hopes seem to be, ending. And at the end of the game, we saw this, Christian Wood and JaVale McGee combination, two offseason acquisitions that were kind of flops. Even though Wood started strong, McGee never got going. In terms of Wood started the season scoring wise strong, but those guys played the entire second half and overtime period, and that was weird. And I think the reason why this hasn't worked out is because the Dallas Mavericks failed Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving with no defense. Because Kyrie and Luka Doncic, arguably some of the best basketball players in the world, arguably top 10 players in the NBA. Luka at least arguably top 5, top 10. Kyrie, put him wherever you want. With that being said, this team traded away Dorian Finney-Smith. The defensive culture setter and everything. So the Mavericks need to make up 2 games on the Oklahoma City Thunder due to the Oklahoma City tiebreaker over them, which can be credited to a ridiculous November defeat where Dallas lost a 16-point lead in the final 4 minutes. But the Mavericks have now lost 7 of their last 8 games, and it feels near impossible to overcome this brutal stretch of basketball, even though the possibility still exists in a mathematical sense. And hey, perhaps if we're the best, Dallas owes its pick to the New York Knicks, unless it falls within the top 10, which seems unfathomable just 2 months ago. Now, it might actually be a path for the Mavericks to add desperately needed talent, whether they use it to draft somebody or as a trade asset to acquire more talent, because they got to keep Kyrie. And it sounds like the Lakers aren't interested in Kyrie. So how do we fix this? It's the offseason, and we're hoping that they do get that pick, because that is great trade asset. So let's get into this video. Like, comment, subscribe. I want to hear your thoughts down below. Do you guys agree the Mavericks failed Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving by not providing them defense? Like, how are you supposed to win games when arguably your best defenders, Maxi Kleber, great defender, but when Maxi Kleber and Frank Ntilikina are your 2 best defenders, it's not good. And going into next offseason, you assume you bring back Kyrie. He's making this year 38. We assume he's going to get a similar deal, like 40 million. So you have 80 million probably tied up between Kyrie and Luka. Then you have 17.8 for Tim Hardaway, Davis Bertans 17, 11 for Maxi Kleber, 10 for Reggie Bullock, JaVale 5.7, Josh Green 4.7, and Jaden Hardy's still going to be on the books for 1.7. So right there, when you look at this, Davis Bertans is a negative trade asset. But if you look forward, maybe you can do a sign and trade. Maybe you can package like Tim Hardaway and Davis Bertans and JaVale McGee. And right there, that combined is actually a lot more money than you think. It's about $41 million, $41.5 million. And if you look around the league, who could they get for $41.5 million? You can get a few players, or you can go out and get one fish, if somehow Damian Lillard is available, or Klay Thompson somehow, or if, Chris Middleton opts in and they decide to trade him, or even Zach LaVine. But those guys, most of those guys aren't going to solve your defense. And that's why 41 million, maybe you can split that, across a couple guys. What if a team blows it up this offseason? And what if a team starts selling off pieces? That's something that could happen. And with 41 million there, you can go out and get somebody. There's a team like the Utah Jazz. Maybe you're interested in getting like Kelly Olynyk. I'm not saying he's going to change your defense or anything along those lines, but if you look at Kelly Olynyk, it's they got to provide this team with defense. All right? Olynyk would be a better power forward than defensively, and just for what they want to do All right, but that's the idea, is like, oh, maybe you go out there, Simone Fontecchio, Kelly Olynyk is one small deal you could do, and that brings in a shooter, 2 shooters, and guys who can actually try on defense and provide some impact. All right, right there. And then and that would only cost you right there $15 million. You can maybe even get that done by trading Davis Bertans in a first round pick to get those guys. And that's just a small move that really just moved the needle. And that's 15. That means you still have $26 million to play with. And you can go out there, and what if Miles Turner is available? He's only making 20.9. You send them 2 first round picks for Miles Turner and Chris Duarte. Now you just brought in Miles Turner, Chris Duarte. All right, Chris Duarte is a 3-and-D guy who's been shown he can play great defense and he can shoot. Chris Duarte with Josh Green, and you also just brought in Simone Fontecchio. You have Reggie Bullock. All right, then you have Kelly Olynyk and Miles Turner. And at this point, you got rid of McGee. You got rid of, Christian Wood left in free agency. You got rid of Davis Bertans, and you've replaced it with Olynyk, Simone Fontecchio. Who was the other guy I said? Miles Turner and Chris Duarte. Fill that in with Josh Green, Maxi Kleber. Right there. That's not a bad. And you still have Luka Doncic and Kyrie. And that's 8 players. You fill out you still have Jaden Hardy. All right. And there's still moves right there that you can make. And with that being said, you would still be at $108 million in salary cap. You'd probably actually be a little bit less. And you'd have $30 million, meaning you can go out and get maybe a couple other players with Luka Doncic and Kyrie and these other 4 players. And this is all hypothetical, but that scenario right there, you just brought in a lot more defense that they didn't have before. I want to hear your thoughts. Bye.